Uh-oh. Yeah, it's Mercy. Music by Mercy again. Heat Nation, we the culture. Yo, E, I need you to call timeout. Need Brady to set the floor plan. Tropical blanket, open for the shot. Yo, Greg, set the pick. Still 5 on the floor, still ride for my dog. Still battle on the court, still survive in the war. Keep your eye on the ball, or get burned from the keep this mic off the wall without turning the cheek. From night to day, no sleepy paths or allowed to mornings. The nut is sleeping us, never catch us snoring. Live from Miami, report in the heat with 5 Reasons Sports from the court to the streets. Dang, Wake County, Heat Nation, we say it proudly.
Welcome to 5 on the Floor, a daily insider show on the Miami Heat and the NBA, featuring Ethan Skolnick, Greg Sylvander, Alex Toledo, Brady Hawk, and others from the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Also, make sure to subscribe to Off the Floor for the most heat anywhere.
Welcome back to 5 on the Floor. My name is Alex Toledo. I'm here with Brady Hawk, and today's floor plan, a game that probably wasn't worth staying up for, unfortunately for us. We don't usually get to do this where, it's no Ethan, no Leif. It's essentially our version of Kids Day. We were even though I'm turning 30 in a month, we were very excited for this. But no, this was not a fun game to watch. This is one of those teams where, on paper, you look at it as like a team you ideally get a win against, but in reality, they came into this game 1 game ahead of the Blazers in the standings, 1 game difference in their record there. And this is a team that posed some problems for the Heat tonight, man. This is a team that's pretty tough defensively, has good size positionally at just about every position. And man, I don't even know where to get started with what went wrong in this game, Brady. I know it's hard to even pick a specific side to talk about, to focus on, because honestly, both were pretty bad, in different ways. I thought the defense was inconsistent at best, probably bad. Just in general, if you look at they really just had 1 good quarter in this game on both ends of the floor, and that was the second quarter. All 3 other quarters, they gave up terrible offensive ratings and either mediocre or bad offensive rating of their own. Just in general, I felt there was a little bit of a 2023 finals feel to it, in the sense that Bam was just kind of having to create a lot of offense, and they were just kind of relying on him almost too much, obviously for good reason. He really had it going, and many guys, there were not many other guys that had it going in this game at all. But yeah, the offense just wasn't flowing tonight. It didn't feel like the ball movement was as crisp as it has been in other games. They were not winning their drives whatsoever. A lot of guys played poorly. Drew Smith, I thought, didn't have a great game. Jovic, I thought, played a very uneven game. Honestly, I didn't feel, I don't know, Jaime to me hasn't looked that great since he's come back from the injury. I don't know if it's that or not. It could just be a slump as other guys go through. He hasn't felt as effective the past few games, and it was again a factor tonight. You got no 3-point shooting from the team, and you took a whole lot of them. And it just felt like Bam was trying to bail you out there, outside of that stretch where Norm was getting to the basket in the third quarter, outside of that stretch where Fontecchio was making some plays for them. He's been playing well recently. It just felt like the offense was mostly Bam or bust. The defense was just not there, and this was just a bad game overall.
Yeah, it's tough to say which was the worst side, but I'll pretty confidently say I think it was the defensive side. I think that one just set the tone of the game. That I thought it was pretty awful. I thought they were just really bad on that end of the floor, and I'll say why. Because I've been saying a lot with how Miami's offense runs, and when they go up against opposing defenses, that there's certain teams they go against, their weaker defenses, smaller defense, I think they'll have success against with this new isolation stuff in the half court. There's other games where they're playing better teams or bigger defenses where you kind of say to yourself, they're not going to be able to score tonight. That's not going to be able to happen. They're going to hit a little bit of a wall. They kind of got a little bit of taste of their own medicine tonight, where the tides are a little flipped, where Portland was almost utilizing things the exact way that Miami does. They were playing offense the way that Miami tries to, Because early in this game, they ran some pick and rolls. They tried to throw it over the top to Klingon. Bam deflected like 2 or 3 of those, like where he was getting his hand on the ball. They weren't able to lob it over the top. And what happened from there was like they were just going total ISO ball where they were just taking different Heat defenders off the dribble one-on-one and getting to the rack. It was not one guy offensively for Portland that was doing it. It wasn't one defender for the Heat that was getting attacked. It was across the board. And what it makes you realize is Miami's defense can survive when the team defense and positional side of things is kind of being put into play, where Bam can cover up, or some of these guys that get around screens and point of attack guys can cover up. But when you're just out there on an island and have to just go guard one-on-one like that with a lot of these guys, and it's not really one guy, because I can go down the line. It was a lot of these guys that were getting attacked. They just couldn't survive. Like, they couldn't stay in front. They couldn't move their feet and stay in front of a lot of these guys, whether it was Nico on a switch, whether it was some of these guards like Powell, even guys like Kasparis that I think have been good defensively this year, got attacked a couple of times there in his stint. I can go down the line. Like, I thought it was just a really bad defensive effort one-on-one. I don't trust this team really in that one-on-one space unless they're running certain lineups that favor it. And what we know with the way this roster is constructed, when they lean in that direction of those type of lineups, they can't score and they can't shoot. So they kind of have to pick their poison. The issue was tonight, they couldn't do either. They couldn't shoot and they couldn't defend. So we could talk about specific guys for sure. I think there was some guys you mentioned already that did not play well. I mean, the Nico minutes were bad. When he doesn't have it like that, I think they need to have a short leash. Like, they need to be able to pull him out when he just doesn't have it, because when he starts missing early shots.
But who else do you play at the 5?
Oh, you can't. Tonight you really couldn't. I mean,
just go Bam for all the minutes.
Just have some fun with Keyshawn. I mean, Myron's already out there. Let's just go have fun. But at that point, the game was kind of already over. Even though they made that little run there where we can give credit. I'm going to keep giving credit to this guy, because I think every time he steps on the floor, it's been great things. Myron has sparked good things every time he gets out on the court. Defensively, sparking things on the break. His shot making and three-point shooting has been good. Every time he gets out there, he impacts something. But even with that run, it felt like a fake run to me. Like, that didn't feel like a run where they were really in striking distance. That felt like a very lengthy 10-point lead. So it's tough. I mean, there's certain decision making with the rotation that you can't really have an alternative. But I mean, he was rough, as you said. Drew Smith, I thought, was really rough in this game. They're also not an alternative to him. I thought what they could have done was play Kasparis a little more. He only played 11 minutes in this game. I mean, he gets the start, and he gets worse than Myers Leonard treatment. Like, he got less than a 6-minute stint.
It's so funny you say Myers Leonard, because I was thinking Luke Babbitt, but it's the same thing.
It's the same thing. I mean, but it was worse. I mean, he ended up. I mean, he wasn't great. I mean, those lineups, he ended up being a minus 18 because both the starts the first quarter and third quarter were not great. But with that, I mean, in games like this, if they're going to go out rough, I'd rather them go out rough with their rookie and some of their young guys and play them through it, and not watch, Drew Smith fadeaway jumpers in the mid range. Like, I don't think that's the way to go there. So, like I said, we can talk about specific guys, like, for sure. We need to acknowledge certain guys, but I don't think this was a one-guy effort of why they lost. I think this is just kind of showing what this team is. I mean, they had the rough game to start this road trip. They had a good bounce back against Sacramento where they looked good, and they had another rough game. And that's what this team is. They're an inconsistent team that can have nights against certain teams where they could pop a little bit and show flashes, but they're also going to have these nights where they can't defend and can't shoot. That's just what this team is right now.
For sure. I thought you made a lot of good points there. And just like thinking about what I completely agree with you about playing Kasparis more, not because he played amazingly or anything, as you mentioned in his stints, but just because, like, the Drew stuff, he was not having a good game. Like, defensively, he had his moments, I guess, but just offensively, he can be a very frustrating player to watch when he's relied on to handle the ball. I feel like he was relied on even more tonight. Obviously, like, without Davion, without Tyler, I mean, it's hard to even say that because Tyler's been gone for like 80% of their games anyways. But just in general, like, it obviously felt like they were giving him the ball a little bit more tonight. I don't feel like he deserved playing twice as many minutes as Kasparis, right? And not just because, he's your first round pick. It's just like Kasparis also plays some defense, not at the same level of Drew, but he might help, like, create you some easy baskets at the very least. I thought he showed you flashes of that in the time that he did play, but I just think not that would have saved the game by any means, but I had a similar thought. And I also just thought the lineup management, which is something that a lot of people have frustrations with Spo about. I feel like with Spo, the lineups that can be tricky for him are ones that do good from the late third quarter through the early fourth, it was kind of that stretch you were talking about there, like that, they had that lineup out there with Fontecchio and Gardner. And look, those guys were doing their thing in that moment. But sometimes it feels like
Stays with it too long.
Yes, 100%. He stays with it a little bit too long. It's like Norm Powell got back into the game at 5 minutes left. They had a timeout right around that 7-minute mark. When he usually comes back, it's the old Jimmy Mark when he would come back in the fourth quarter, and we will get frustrated for that first half of the quarter. And then he didn't come back, and they had the timeout and everything. I was perplexed in a game where there's no offense. And yeah, Norm was a part of the lack of 3-point shooting for sure, but that's your best scorer. I didn't understand that. And again, that wouldn't have saved this game either. These are just some thoughts that I had about the game as a whole. Overall, you gave up a strong offensive rating to the Blazers there. I didn't feel like they made their mark defensively. As you mentioned, the point of attack defense was very, very inconsistent. I mean, Caleb Love, didn't realize that guy was so damn fast, bro. He was getting to the rim, getting to the paint at will. An undrafted player. I'm sure the Heat were jealous watching him out there. But no, it just felt like without the defense, as we've talked about for so long now, this team is not very good. And then not only that, they did an okay job in the possession battle in the first half as far as turning the Blazers over. The rebounding battle was not too far off. And then that stuff completely fell off a cliff in the second half. They had some weird turnovers in the second half, and they also got killed on the boards in the second half. And really, that's it. That check, you just check off all the boxes right there. The only thing the Heat won tonight was the free throw attempts, and as we know, they don't hit that many of those. It's how do you win a game where you're not making threes, you get killed on the boards and in the turnover battle in the second half. Nobody else is really scoring consistently outside of Bam. Just a lot of things went wrong in this game. And with that, we're gonna move on to the Insurance by Lynette play of the game.
And now it's time for the A-Aggressive Insurance Player of the Night, sponsored by our friend Lynette. You can find her at insurancebylynette.com. That's with 2 N's and 2 T's, insurancebylynette.com. If you need car insurance, renter's insurance, homeowner's insurance, or any other type of insurance, she's the person to go to. Based in Lauderhill, she services the entire Tri-County area here in South Florida, and she will make sure to get you the best deal. She'll probably talk to you about the Heat while you're at it. Reach out to her, insurancebylynette.com. And now, the player of the game.
Well, it's a good thing we have that, because I meant to say player of the game. My fault, Lynette. As always, shout out insurancebylynette.com. Brady, where do you think we go with this? Because this might be a tough question here.
Yeah, it's a tough question, but it's a question that probably doesn't matter much, because we could pick any Blazer, and they were cooking Miami. I mean, like we said already, but I guess Shaedon Sharpe, he ends up with 27 points, 11 of 21 shooting, 5 of 9 from 3. It's just tough. Like you said, it's tough to overcome a player like that is cooking like that one-on-one, but also the fact that is catching fire from 3. If your best player has 27 and is 5-9 from 3, and your only primary scorer and shooter in Norman Powell ends up going 0 for 7 from 3, that one-on-one battle in itself is hard to overcome. Not saying this is on Norm and why they lost the offensive battle, but it's just as simple as that sometimes, because I look around this roster, and I know we're going to talk about it in a few, but I'm looking around 20 of 50 from 3 for Portland compared to 9 of 45 from 3 for the Heat, and I can't really overlook that. That's pretty much the game. That's how it's going to be. And why it's important to say that is because, where is the shooting going to come from? If it's not Norm, Fontecchio has done his job. He's really caught a hot hand right now where he went 3 of 6 from 3 tonight. He's doing a lot of the other things. But if Norm is going 0 for 7 from 3, which is going to happen, he's not going to have 82 games this season where he's always going to be shooting well. But when he doesn't, I don't really know who's picking up the slack. I don't know where it's going to come from. You look at a bench right now, aside from Fontecchio, that Drew Smith went 0 for 4. He's just a spot-up 3 guy. He's going to be somebody in the corners that can make when they help off. Jaime's not somebody you're going to be leaning on. He's been struggling, and it's like you said before, this was kind of not watching the way they were matching up with him and throwing sides at him. It kind of felt like he wasn't going to have many offensive advantages tonight. They kind of cut him off in a lot of his spots, but he's not going to be the guy that's going to light it up from 3. Nico 1 for 7 from 3. He's been all over the place on the perimeter. It's the misses are just all over the place. It's not like a player that is just short all the time or hard on his shots. It's kind of all over the place. So it's tough to really get a measurement on what's going on there. And then we go down to some of the other guys like Larson or Wiggins who can have a game here and there, but Larson's not volume enough to really make an impact on it from three. Wiggins has been good from three, so you kind of give him a pass. But the reason I go down the line like this is because there's just like, I don't know where the slack is being picked up from three. Like, I just think it is what it is. Like, if Norm doesn't have it going, I don't see them out shooting many teams. Even a Portland team that isn't the greatest three-point shooting team, they get up a bunch of attempts, but they're not the greatest percentage-wise, still have a better chance because they have some guys that can catch fire. So this is kind of what was expected on paper when they were without Tyler Hero at the beginning of the year. When you look at this team, they're like, okay, there's not enough shooting. They've been able to surpass some of it because of the new offensive juice that they got early in the year. Then when that ran out, you kind of saw the lapses where they go on these losing streaks and the kind of things look just reality kind of comes about a little bit. And now, as I used the word before, it's really as simple as inconsistency. Like, I just think there's going to be nights where, yeah, I think some of these guys I mentioned can have a night where they pop from three, and maybe as a group they shoot 38% from three. But consistently, like, from the list of guys I named, I just don't see it happening. I think they can be much better defensively. Like, I think there's a capability of playing at a higher level on that end of the floor, 100%. Like, that's a level they can get to. But I don't know if there's a level higher they can get to from three consistently. I just think they are what they are, and that's why there's just, it kind of feels like on any given game, I don't walk into any Heat game saying I think like 100% I think they're going to win or 100% I think they're going to lose. Like, I just think that is what this, I guess it's what Miami's always been, right? I feel like we've always kind of said that, but especially this year, I just feel like they're just a 50-50 squad of what you're going to get on a random game.
Well said, for sure. Another guy who we haven't mentioned too much of, Andrew Wiggins, did some stuff for them in the first half, and as he tends to do after having a good half or quarter, just completely cooled down. And it's not even like he cooled down in the sense of like he stopped making shots. You just don't feel him anymore. He doesn't take many shot attempts when he has those type of stretches. And again, like going to Wiggins ISO ball would not have saved the game, but it was just a guy where like, okay, I would have wanted more out of him in a game like this where there was just not much going on. You know, he's one of your better two-way players, and has obviously like capability of turning up at points as a scorer. I guess they got it too early because you just did not feel him whatsoever in the second half offensively. But you're so right. Like, it's really hard to overcome a game where they hit more than twice as many threes as you. And not only that, the Heat took almost half of their shots from three tonight. I think it was like 45% of their shots. Like, that's a lot more than they usually take. They're not a team to take. That's like a Celtics type of number right there, a New York Knicks type of number. So they were kind of like, they were efficient at the rim, and funny enough, from the like long mid-range shots, but the threes were not there. And speaking of the mid-range shots, that also fell off a cliff in the second half. They hit it at a really high level, and most of that was Bam in the first half. And Bam had a good scoring game in both halves, but the mid-range stuff was out the door in the second half. And although they only missed one shot at the rim, I believe, they didn't get there often enough. Just in general, the offense was very discombobulated. The defense was inconsistent. And then also you get worked in the possession battle in the second half. Like, those are some really tough things to overcome when you're just playing that bad on so many levels. Shaedon Sharpe, like, man, did he get on fire in that second half, man. He was just going ISO after a while, after he'd already heated up and was hitting tough shots. Like, anytime he saw anybody back up one-on-one, he was taking it, kept making it. You know, the game was already out of reach at that point. But that's just a testament to the inconsistent / actually really just bad defense, as you mentioned, throughout this game. Like, the fact that he even felt that comfortable is a testament to that, right? Kamara really gave the Heat some trouble in this game. Avdia was giving him a lot of trouble before he got hurt early in the third quarter. You know, like, he finished with 27 and 4 in less than 18 minutes of play. You had Drew Holiday give you a lot of trouble. As we mentioned before, Caleb Love gave you a lot of trouble. Clingan, as a rebounder, I thought, and as a screener, I thought was giving him trouble. Could have, he didn't have like a dominant game, but just his presence, I think, was bothering the Heat down there, and it made it really hard to switch in this game. So yeah, and I mean, Jeremy Grant even like didn't have a great game, and it just didn't matter because they had so many other guys, even without Denny for the second half, who's their best player, just cooking, man. Like, Sharpe and Drew and Love, to me, in my opinion, were their most important guys in that second half offensively, and really kind of stepped up after Avdia went out. But yeah, with that being said, we're gonna move on here to the C Arm and Staffing play of the game.
And now it's time for the X-Ray of the Play of the Day, brought to us by our friends over at Mobile C-Arm and Staffing Services. Nelson and his team will bring the X-ray equipment and the staffing to you. If you work in a hospital or a medical office, get a consultation today at c-armandstaffing.com or give them a call at 561-891-9620. Their fleet of trucks at your service. Again, it's Mobile C-Arm and Staffing Services, 561-891-9620. And now, the X-Ray of the Play of the Day.
Okay, so I think originally we planned to talk about the three-point shooting here, but we kind of got over that already. So I was already thinking of what the play of the game would even be. And I guess just to have anything positive, I'm gonna shout out that Pelle Larsson pass to the corner late in that game. It was just a beautiful pass. I don't know how he got it through so many bodies there in traffic. I think it was to Fontecchio in the corner, if I remember correctly. That pass, it was in the larger scheme of things was meaningless. Like the game was already over. I just thought it was a great play, and we've been really negative in this show. So I thought, we could sprinkle in something positive there. Did you have anything else you want to talk about from this game or a specific play?
Yeah, I mean, I was not going to hammer the same nail on the defense and three-point shooting. I think we've went 21 minutes of enough time of people wanting to listen to that. If the Heat didn't bring it, why should we? Why should we keep bringing it up? But I think we should mention Bam. I mean, Bam ended up with 32 points, and I think the reason it's important, honestly, is I keep saying that this season his big offensive games have come from his three-point shooting. Like I think if he's making 2 or 3 threes, if he sees that ball go in, I just think that not only fluffs up his numbers, but I just think it jumps his overall game and puts it in the right spot where he can kind of attack a little better and do different things. Tonight, that wasn't the case. I mean, the fact that he ended up with 32 points and only made 1 3, he was 1 for 7 from 3, actually. Mm-hmm. I think it's pretty actually significant. I thought he was attacking really well in this game. This was honestly the best he's looked off the bounce maybe all season tonight.
Yep.
I think he was extremely just under control in this game. Some of the first of all, the heart attacks early because Klingon knew he didn't have the foot speed to stay with him, so he was able to get past them. He didn't want to foul him because he knew that was a part of this as well, which Bam still got to the free throw line a few times. But the stuff around the basket was fine, but it was more so the short mid-range stuff, the stuff that he was peaking with, the last 2 seasons when he had his certain moments and had his all-star moments. It was that short mid-range dotted line jumper, between the legs, step back, right in that kind of second block area. That's what he was doing tonight. He was just kind of really getting just to his spots, and he was efficient in two-point range. So I'll give him, play of the night just in terms of his off the dribble work. I just thought it was solid. And the reason it's important because yes, this game was rough, but look, at some point you're gonna have to move on to this back-to-back this weekend. And something you can take into this weekend is your captain and the big man that you have pretty much needed to find his offensive rhythm for some time now, kind of finding a little bit of a hot hand right now. So the three-point shooting is what it is. As we said, I think Norm will get back on track. I don't see that being a problem unless I'll mention as well, not to give him an excuse, but I mean, he was dealing with the back injury before this game where they didn't think he was even going to play. He ends up playing. It's not a shock to me that he didn't shoot well. I mean, that's kind of a clear just thing. Your back injury with shooting, I mean, that's just always going to tie together. So that in itself, I think he'll end up being fine. But Bam kind of finding his rhythm a little bit offensively, I do think is important. And Fontecchio as well. I mean, I'll give him, I was saying the other day that it's one of the reasons why their offense was so good early in the season was because they had Fontecchio off the bench that was shooting well. It wasn't just Jaime. They had good shooting across their bench. Right now, that hasn't been the case, but they have it from one guy right now. And a lot of times with shooters, even if it comes in a loss or comes in garbage time or whatever it ends up being, usually you see the ball go in and it can spiral from there. So I think it is important for both Bam and Fontecchio to at least have decent games, see if it can spiral into something.
I'm glad you honed in on those guys because I 100% agree with you. Jaime was absolutely the catalyst of the early bench success, but for sure, a big part of it was the unit as a whole looking competent and looking like they could hit some threes. And Drew was a part of that, to be fair, and that just hasn't come back at all. As we know, he's capable of hitting a standstill three. Sometimes he's not taking the standstills. And tries to take these shots where his feet are not properly set or he's not properly on balance, properly squared up. whatever the case may be. He's not necessarily a talented shooter, but that hasn't come back up. Whereas Fontecchio he's definitely that type of guy. Like, he has been a shooter throughout his career. I wouldn't call him knockdown, but I would say he's a shooter, right? And as you've mentioned in the past couple of shows, he's done a good job of playing hard, rebounding. He had a really nice defensive play, and not this game, but the last game. I forget. I think it was like a block, or I don't know. He's impressed me in those aspects, and 100% like the Bam stuff. We mentioned it, how like they were relying on him too much, but it wasn't for like a lack of like trying to get him going. He was just going throughout the game. He got going early and stayed going. Right, like this was easily his best scoring game. I agree with you. It wasn't based off his shooting. I think he shot 12 of 17 from two. That's really, really impressive. That's not like, I don't know if he's made even half as many twos like that in one game this season. I would have to go look that up. Like, that's, for him to get up that many was impressive, because as you mentioned, it wasn't only the middies, which he absolutely had going, but he was attacking the rim. And like, I know people are going to point out that he should be doing this every game, and we don't have to get into that conversation. But what's obvious about a matchup like Klingon is that somebody who is so slow-footed, man, it looks like his eyes just lit up. Like, I imagine if you could see Bam's eyes during those possessions, they were just like popping out of his head, because this guy, like, he just can't stay in front of him. And it was so obvious. Like, you could see it in Klingon's body language out there defensively. Like, he was giving Bam a ton of space early in the game. Then once Bam was kind of willing to take those, he was driving. I just thought he did a great job of mixing it up versus a slow-footed center like this. Honestly, one of the slowest footed centers as a starter, like his direct matchup that he's going to see. So he's not going to go up against a Donovan Klingon every night. And look, obviously the guy is a great rim protector, great rebounder. I'm not trying to shade Klingon, but that's just not a strength of his game whatsoever. He can't stay in front of a guy like Bam who has a good handle and just moves so much better than him. So for as much as I harp on like Bam's limited handle and limited touch around the rim, limited scoring, compared to what some people want out of him, this is a type of matchup that he can definitely, I think, eat against. And even then, like, he did honestly like twice as good as you could have even expected, even if you were expecting Bam to go at Klingon. Like, he just had a really, really impressive game. He also got you the 5 free throw attempts and was just relentless, man. Like, it wasn't like a hot first half and then he fell off. Like, he was doing it throughout the game, and like when most of the game there was no rhythm or flow to your offense, he was making it happen, man. Like, that's not a tough situation. It is a tough situation to be able to score in against a good defense. He was making it happen, man. And also shout out to him, as we take it for granted the stuff he does on defense. A casual 3 steals and block tonight, but that's what he does. Shout out Bam for being one of the only positives in what wasn't such a positive game for the Heat. And with that, we're gonna call it a night. We'll have you covered for the back-to-back this weekend, because for some reason there's 2 weekend games in every single weekend now. I'm gonna stay quiet about that before I get an unnecessary tangent and it's turned into a 40-minute show. But we've got you covered for the back-to-back. They've got one coming up against the Jazz. They've been without Marketing. Who knows if he'll play in that game? I know he's like he was doing a return to competition conditioning. But either way, Marketing or no Marketing, that's one that they have to take. That's the Jazz aren't a terrible team, but they're not a good team. They're easily a below average team. It's just one that you got to get. You got the Suns the day after, and they're actually a good team. Coming off a loss like tonight, I think if you're a Heat team who hasn't done so great against great defenses and great teams, you got to eat up some wins against these below average teams, and that's what they've got coming up next. First night of a back-to-back. Thank you guys for tuning in. Leif, I believe, will be back this weekend hosting. We wanted to give him a break on this week of late games. And thank you, Brady, for coming on with me. Thank you to everybody that listens and watches. I actually forgot to mention a couple big things here. I was supposed to do this at the top of the show. Shout out Prize Picks, our daily fantasy sponsor for so many years now. Make sure to go on there and use the code 5. We have a link in the description if you want to get it takes you directly to the sign up with our code already inputted if you want to check it out Also, the Off the Floor Discord server for $3 a month. You get all access. You get everything from the guys in our network. You get nonstop chats with diehard Heat fans who are constantly talking about the Heat and all the different angles you can possibly conceive of. You get our information and analysis. So there's a lot going on there. Link to that is also in the description. And one more thing, if you want to catch Brady or I's writing on the Heat on Sports Illustrated page, the link to that will also be in the description. Should have done all this up top, but I don't get many reps doing this, so I'll excuse myself here. And I know you guys probably don't want to hear my voice. It's already been enough. A half hour is good. I think that's Ethan was expecting us to do an hour, so I'm okay with a half hour here. Thank you guys for listening. We'll see you next time.